Miraculous victory over temptation, 3 divine insights revealed for your supernatural deliverance. The air felt electric in the quaint town of Gracewood as whispers filled the local chapel. It was a night of divine revelation, a sacred space where miracles were known to dwell. Martha, her spirit heavy with despair, knelt before the flickering candles that danced in the gentle glow. Her heart ached for her husband, Mark, who had slipped into the dark grip of addiction. "Lord, I need you," she cried, her voice trembling. With tears rolling down her cheeks, she begged for clarity, for hope, for a way out of this darkness. Suddenly, the chapel transformed. Light enveloped her, washing over her like a warm embrace. 3 insights surged within her, each accompanied by a flash of divine energy. Trust, the first whispered through the silence, igniting a fire in her heart. Forgive, the second urged, echoing in her mind louder than her fears. Hope, the third breathed life into her spirit. Filling her with a renewed sense of purpose, she stumbled out of the chapel, ready to share these miraculous messages with Pastor John. "Pastor, God spoke to me," she exclaimed, breathless, her faith radiating from her every pore. The congregation quickly gathered, entwined in prayerful unity, enraptured by Martha's testimony of hope. She could feel the collective faith lift her spirits. It was a palpable force, tangible and undeniable. That night, the whole church prayed fervently, casting away shadows through the light of love. Weeks passed, yet the joy once present in her home began to wane. Intense, silent dinners replaced laughter, each fork drop echoed louder than the last. Their home turned suffocating, a storm cloud of despair. Martha fought the pressure alone, believing prayer alone could save Mark. But it seemed he slipped further into darkness with each passing day, leaving her alone with despair. Just when the weight of the situation became nearly unbearable, a miraculous healing service was announced. Intrigued, Martha felt a spark ignite within her. As she entered the sanctuary, the bright and colorful stained glass reflected a kaleidoscope of hope onto her heart. She listened intently, each testimony seemed to pierce her soul. One man's transformation, once lost to his own vices, now radiating with newfound life, made her spirit soar. In his words, she rediscovered her faith. "This is not just for him, but for us all," she wanted to shout. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. That night, the revelations grew stronger, igniting a flame within Martha. Clarity rang true. She knew confronting her fears was vital. Trust, forgive, hope. These weren't just words, they were her life's lifeline. Just as she resolved to act on them, everything changed. The phone rang, slicing through her thoughts. Mark was missing. Darkness descended again. Panic swept through her, but a whisper of faith urged her forward. With the community rallying around her, she raced against time. Would the divine insights guide her back to her husband before it was too late? Would the power of their shared faith be enough to pierce through the shadows threatening to swallow them whole? As she stepped into the unknown, the outcome hung in the balance, a question mark looming over her desperate pleas for love, healing, and deliverance. The streets of Gracewood were cloaked in an unsettling silence as Martha slipped out into the night. Each step echoed with her racing heartbeat, a desperate rhythm of hope and fear. She was pulled forward not just by concern for Mark but by a divine calling coursing through her veins. As she approached their neighborhood, the familiar buildings loomed like shadowy specters. Memories of laughter and joy danced in her mind, reminding her of what once was. With each breath, Martha sent up silent prayers. "Lord, grant me strength. Show me where he is." The streetlights flickered, and her surroundings began to blur. It was as if the very fabric of reality was shifting, pressing on her senses. She halted momentarily, feeling an unusual pull to the community park where Mark often came to escape his sanctuary amidst the chaos. Martha hurried toward it, a flicker of hope igniting within her. Upon arriving, the park appeared lifeless, the grass shrouded in darkness. Yet, there was a light, faint yet undeniable, shimmering in the corner near the old oak tree. Martha's heart quickened. She moved toward it with quiet anticipation, her pulse thrumming in sync with the glow. When she reached the tree, there he was, Mark huddled against the trunk, looking lost, like a child seeking shelter from a storm. Relief mixed with trepidation washed over her. She knelt beside him, her heart breaking at the sight of his disheveled state. "Mark," she breathed, her voice tender like a whisper of hope in the dark. His eyes met hers, full of confusion and despair. "Martha, I'm so sorry." His voice cracked, laden with the weight of guilt and regret. "Shoo, it's okay," she soothed, placing a hand gently on his arm. "There's still time, my love. God is waiting, and He wants to help us." As she spoke, the magical energy from the chapel surged within her once more. It was one thing to have faith but another to share it. "Remember that night? The insights?" she implored. "Trust, forgive, hope. Let us grasp those together. You're not alone." Mark stared at her, uncertainty dancing in his eyes, but she saw a flicker of something else, an ember of warmth. "I don't know if I can," he choked out. "Not after everything." "Trust that God can restore us," Martha urged, desperation edging her voice. "We have a community ready to stand with us. Just take my hand." With trembling fingers, Mark took hers. The moment their hands clasped, a rush of warmth enveloped them, as if the very heavens were affirming their unity. Light flickered around them, igniting their surroundings, turning the dark corners of the park into a radiant canvas of divine love. "Lord, we surrender," Martha prayed, her voice rising in intensity. "Fill us with your light and guide us home." Their combined hearts became one in faith, bound by the insights gifted to her long ago. In that sacred moment, the atmosphere charged with divine energy surged, and Mark felt a twinge of transformation. What if it's really true?" he whispered, his voice barely audible. As the radiant light seeped deeper into their hearts, hope flourished. Just then, echoing laughter rang out from the distance, friends from the congregation emerging in joyful solidarity, drawn by the glow of faith resonating through the night. Would this newfound courage save their story? Would Mark fully embrace the destiny waiting for him on the other side of his struggles? As a chorus of support grew closer, Martha's spirit swelled with renewed anticipation. What awaited them as they turned toward the light? The answer loomed just out of reach, a divine mystery yet to unfold. The laughter grew louder as the familiar faces approached, their joyous spirits spilling over like a gentle stream, easing the tension in Martha's weary heart. She dared to look at Mark, and in his eyes, she found a flicker of hope mixing with the shadows of doubt. "Martha, is that really them?" Mark whispered, disbelief softening his voice. "Yes, it is," she replied, her eyes sparkling with joy. "They've come to support us." As the figures drew near, their glowing expressions filled the void around them, like stars in the darkest night. Anna, their dear friend, stepped forward and knelt beside them. "We were worried sick. But we felt a pull to come here when we saw the light," she exclaimed, her eyes shimmering with compassion. Martha smiled, feeling bolstered by the presence of their community. "Mark, they're here for you. God has sent them to remind us that we're not alone." Mark inhaled deeply, the air thick with love and acceptance. The warmth flooding his heart felt foreign yet comforting. "I don't know where to start," he admitted, his voice trembling. "Let us start together," Anna said, taking his other hand. "We're all walking this path. Let us bring our burdens to the Lord, together." The group settled in a small circle around the great oak tree, grounding themselves in the moment. With heads bowed, Martha led them in prayer, her spirit ignited by the presence of her friends. "Lord, we come to you, trusting in your love. Heal us, guide us, and let your light shine through us." As she prayed, a gentle breeze began to weave through the park, rustling the leaves and carrying away their fears. It was as if nature itself was affirming their intentions. Mark felt a sacred silence enveloping them, one that opened his heart to the divine. In the stillness that followed, Martha sensed a profound truth emerging. "Mark, sometimes it feels impossible to overcome our struggles. But remember, God often uses our challenges to lead us to deeper understanding. Just look at us now together, we shine brighter." Mark nodded slowly, his heart swelling with gratitude. "I've always believed that everything happens for a reason, but I lost sight of that in my darkest moments. I lost sight of God." Anna squeezed his hand. "It's okay to stumble. We all do. But God is always right there, ready to catch us when we fall." A chorus of amen drifted among them, echoing their collective commitment to supporting one another. Mark, feeling overwhelmed, let tears flow freely down his cheeks. "I've been living in darkness for so long, I forgot what it felt like to be loved. To be forgiven." As if reacting to his confession, the light around them grew brighter, spreading its warmth and filling the air with an electric energy. Martha sensed God's presence more intensely, stirring within her the desire to encourage Mark further. "Tell us your needs, Mark. What weights can we help lift?" she urged gently, her voice weaving through the silence. He hesitated, vulnerability gripping him fiercely. "I fear my mistakes have irreparably damaged everything that I'm beyond help." "No one is beyond God's reach," Martha proclaimed, lifting her chin defiantly. "He is the God of restoration. Embrace the truth that He loves you right where you are." As the gentle ripples of faith weaved through the group, Mark felt a spark ignite within him. An unfamiliar sense of belonging rose up, washing away the remnants of isolation. Yet, as hope filled his heart, a shadow lurked in the corners of his mind, whispering doubts that clawed at his resolve. "What if I don't deserve this?" he murmured, almost to himself. Before anyone could respond, a sudden hush fell over the park, thick with anticipation. The very air vibrated, as if holding its breath for what was to come next, a divine awakening or testing of faith that loomed just outside their reach. What profound revelation awaited them in this moment of collective vulnerability? Would Mark grasp the truth that could shine hope into the darkest crevices of his heart? The answer hovered like the first rays of dawn, just waiting for the right moment to break free. As the tranquil hush enveloped their circle, a palpable energy began to swirl around them. It was as though the very fabric of the universe leaned in, eager to unveil a long-held secret. Mark's heart raced, feeling the weight of his fears clash with the hopeful faith surrounding him. Martha closed her eyes tighter, inviting the moment to bloom. "Let us listen together," she urged softly. The group drew closer, hands still clasped, a tactile reminder of their bond. Suddenly, a whisper rode on the breeze, light and radiant, weaving through the branches above them. Mark's eyes darted upward, expecting to see something extraordinary. What he saw was merely the play of light through leaves, but the sound resonated deep within his soul. A verse came to him, unbidden yet profound, filling the silence. "Be still and know that I am God." He breathed the words out loud, sensing everyone nodding in understanding. Anna tilted her head, her voice a gentle lilt. "Sometimes, the hardest thing we can do is to simply be still and let God work." With this, a wave of realization washed over Mark. He was never meant to carry his burdens alone. In this sacred gathering, it was not about earning God's love but simply accepting it. "So, I just need to let it go?" he asked, his voice trembling with the weight of transformation. "Yes," said Martha, her eyes radiant. "Let go of the idea that you are beyond help. God's grace flows freely. You just have to take the first step in faith." The clouds above parted slightly, allowing a ray of warm sunlight to illuminate the group's circle. It felt like a divine embrace, wrapping them all in its warmth. Mark lifted his eyes to the sky, feeling the sunlight kiss his face. At that moment, the last tether of doubt in his heart began to fray. Then Anna spoke again, her voice steady. "Mark, as you learn to let go, you will discover the peace that surpasses all understanding. You will find strength in admitting weakness and hope in acknowledging pain. Mark nodded, feeling the truth woven in her words settle in his heart. He took a deep breath, exhaling slowly as if letting go of a lifelong burden. "I need to forgive myself," he whispered. "If God can do it, why can't I?" "Yes," Martha echoed, her heart soaring. "That's the essence of renewal. When you forgive, you break chains that bind you. It's a gift you give to yourself." The group swayed gently, like trees in the wind, as the atmosphere crackled with a new kind of excitement. Each person present felt it, a shift, a release, as if they too were participating in Mark's breakthrough. Mark felt the tears begin to flow again, but this time, they were tears of liberation, washing away regrets and fears. He looked at his friends, his family, and saw a tapestry of faith woven together, each thread symbolizing love and support. "I want to let it go," he affirmed, his voice steadying. As they stood together, enveloped by the beauty of creation, the park seemed to pulse with life, reflecting the revival taking place in Mark's heart. Just then, a sudden gust of wind swept through, rustling leaves and stirring the atmosphere, almost as if the heavens were responding to their heart's cry. "Let us declare it together," Anna proposed, her eyes bright with enthusiasm. "Let us claim victory over every doubt, every mistake that clings to us. God is with us." The group raised their voices in unison, declaring their faith collectively. "We are free. We are loved. We are restored." With each word, Mark felt lighter. The shadows that once clung to him began to disperse, overtaken by a radiant light bursting forth from within. He dared to think that perhaps the path ahead wouldn't just be about healing, it could be a new journey altogether, one filled with possibility. Yet, just as hope blossomed brightly, an unfamiliar thought crept in. "What happens when I step back into the world?" Mark pondered aloud, glancing around at his friends' encouraging faces. "Will I face these doubts again?" As this lingering question hung in the air, the group fell silent. No easy answers rushed forward, but the freshness of their shared faith hinted at something greater that was yet to come. What grace-filled insights awaited them as they moved forward, stepping into a world still marked by trials? How would Mark embrace this newfound strength, and which divine surprises awaited him outside the sheltered moments of connection? The silence stretched, heavy with possibility. Mark's heart beat steadily, a rhythm of anticipation. He felt the warm sun continue to caress his face, a reminder that God's presence was real, tangible, and near. Yet beneath that warmth, a cool shadow of uncertainty began to creep in. "Don't let fear steal your joy," Anna said softly, as if reading his mind. She leaned slightly closer, her eyes sparkling with sincerity. "Remember, stepping into the world doesn't mean stepping away from God. It means carrying His light into new places." The group nodded in agreement. Their expressions, filled with encouragement, grounded Mark in a hopeful reality. "You're not walking alone," Martha added. "Every step you take can be guided. Trust that God has a plan. Just breathe and take it one moment at a time." Mark closed his eyes, envisioning the vast journey before him. Each moment felt like a stepping stone, leading him back into the world, a world filled with potential yet laced with uncertainty. His mind raced with scenarios. Would he find himself faced with old temptations? The thought shook him, but he took a deep breath, trying to anchor himself. "But what if I stumble?" he asked, vulnerability lacing his words. "What if I fall back into my old ways?" A silence fell over the group, but it was filled with unspoken understanding. The shimmering fabric of grace was woven into their shared space. After a heartbeat, Anna broke the quiet, her voice steady. "Then you rise again. That's the beauty of grace, it meets you where you are. Each time you stumble, you have a choice to get back up." "Absolutely," Martha affirmed with warmth. "God doesn't measure our worth based on our mistakes, but rather on our heart's desire to grow. And that desire in itself is a testament to His work in you." Mark felt the tears prick at the corners of his eyes once more, but this time they were not tears of despair. They were a testament to truth resonating within him, echoing around the group. His heart felt lighter, a tether of burdens severing in sacred companionship. "I want to trust so deeply," he said, voice trembling but resolute. "I want my life to reflect that trust, especially when challenges come knocking at my door." "Then declare it," Anna exclaimed, beaming. "Speak it into existence. Let your faith be louder than your fears. In those moments of temptation, remember the truth of who you are, a child of God, worthy and cherished." Mark felt a courage spark inside him, ignited by the shared faith of his friends. "Yes," he said, with eyes now wide open, "I declare victory over my doubts. I will walk forward without fear, knowing I am loved and restored." The group erupted in joyful exclamations, an avalanche of collective faith sweeping through their circle. They gathered hands once more, creating an unbreakable bond, even amid uncertainty. Then, as if the universe conspired to celebrate their declaration, a profound stillness enveloped them. Above, the clouds drifted lazily, and the trees swayed softly, whispering encouragement in the breeze. "Remember," Martha spoke, her tone melodic, "with every challenge, there's an insight waiting to be unveiled. You're not just gaining strength, you're gaining wisdom too." "Wisdom often comes wrapped in trials," Anna added, nodding thoughtfully. "It's through our darkest moments that we find the brightest truths." Mark's mind raced with the richness of her words. What wisdom awaited him? What divine insights would illuminate the path ahead? As their voices echoed in celebration, Mark closed his eyes once more, surrendering to the infinite possibilities lying before him. He felt like a vessel filled yet longing, ready to carry forth whatever God had in store. Just then, a thought struck him with sudden fervor. "What if there's something God wants me to learn, something I've yet to discover?" He whispered, a mix of yearning and faith in his heart. Each member of the group exchanged knowing glances, a shared anticipation electrifying the air. What remarkable lessons were on the horizon, poised to transform his journey into something extraordinary? Mark opened his eyes, a fresh wave of anticipation coursing through him. He felt like a desert waiting for rain, thirsting for the revelations promised by the Creator. The air around him was thick with the fragrance of blooming flowers and the sound of rustling leaves. Even nature seemed to celebrate their collective declaration, echoing a divine rhythm. "We've all faced moments where we had to make a choice," Anna began, returning to their circle. "Life will challenge us. What matters most is how we respond." She looked intently at Mark. "Sometimes those challenges aren't just tests, they're opportunities for growth." "Right." Martha chimed in, nodding vigorously. "Temptation is part of our journey. Every heart has its battlegrounds. It's how we fight that defines us, not the falls we may encounter along the way." Mark could feel the fire of their words blaze within him. He thought of the choices he had made that led him to this moment. Every struggle, every whisper of doubt, had brought him here. What if those old battles would resurface? Would he have the strength to stand firm? "You know," Anna continued, "each time you face temptation, it becomes a teaching moment. Instead of fearing it, embrace it as part of your learning process." Her eyes sparkled with sincerity. "Let it guide you closer to God." "That's profound," Mark replied, his heart racing. "But how do I ensure I'm following his path in those moments? How do I know I won't be pulled back into old patterns?" Anna smiled knowingly, her warmth wrapping around him like a comforting blanket. "Start with prayer. Seek His presence in those moments. Your connection with God will remind you who you truly are and empower you to overcome." The thought washed over him like a gentle breeze. His foundation was stronger than he realized. It wasn't just about him trying to stay on the right path, it was about walking alongside God, hand in hand, Martha added, "And remember, vulnerability is not weakness. When you confess your struggles, you release their hold over you. Community is here for you. Lean into it." Don't isolate yourself. Mark's heart swelled as he absorbed their words. The circle of support felt like a divine lifeline. He could almost hear the gentle nudging of the Holy Spirit, urging him to embrace his friends and their wisdom. "We're all here for each other," Anna said gently, squeezing his hand. "Your journey won't just impact you, it'll uplift us all." In that moment, Mark understood that his struggles would no longer be faced in solitude. They would become shared experiences, avenues through which others could find strength and inspiration. As the sun sank lower in the sky, casting a golden hue over their gathering, Mark felt a deep gratitude welling up inside him. "Thank you," he breathed. "I truly feel ready to face whatever comes. With God guiding me and you all by my side, I think I can find those hidden lessons." Just then, a cool breeze swept through the clearing, lifting their spirits higher. Mark closed his eyes again, imagining all that was yet to come, and felt an inexplicable peace settle in his heart. "Mark," Anna's voice broke the silence again, "what if God's plan is even bigger than you can imagine? What if He's calling you to be a light in places you never expected?" The question hung in the air, heavy with promise. Each member of the group felt the weight of it, as if it were a secret gift waiting to be unwrapped. What divine avenues lay ahead? What miraculous victory awaited him in the waiting? Mark looked around at his friends, searching their faces for answers, realizing that God might just be preparing him for something extraordinary. The evening air wrapped around them like a soft embrace, and the golden light of the setting sun seemed to glow brighter as if heaven itself was acknowledging the sacred moment. Mark felt the warmth deep within, a reassurance filling him to the brim. "Mark," Anna said again, her voice melodic and full of intent, "you must remember that every moment you step out, you're stepping into His light. And the shadows won't stand a chance against that light." It was like a spark igniting somewhere in the depths of his spirit. He had often harbored fears about temptations that once gripped him, those darkness-filled times that had felt all-encompassing. But now, as he listened to Anna's words, he could envision himself as a vessel for the light of God, casting shadows far away. Martha leaned in closer, her energy palpable. "The only limits that exist are the ones we place upon ourselves. God has no limits. Your potential to shine, to be a beacon, is beyond what you can imagine." "Oh, it is," Mark replied, feeling a tidal wave of support urging him forward. "I have held on to so many chains of fear and doubt, they've been my old companions. But now," he paused, taking a deep breath, "now I want to embrace the freedom." With that declaration, it felt like a veil lifted. The faces surrounding him illuminated, reflecting both his resolve and the grace of their shared understanding. "Every time you find yourself in those trying moments," Anna affirmed, "ask yourself, what would your light do here? Let that question guide you. In every conversation, in every decision, let the light lead. When you mess up, address it, don't run. Bring it into the light." Mark's mind raced, recollecting all the times he had failed to bring his struggles forward. The paths he had wandered through, chasing after fleeting desires, now painted a different picture in his heart. A vision of surrender blossomed, a flower of vulnerability, fragrant and liberating. A hush fell over the group, as if they were ensnared in a cocoon of revelation. Then, with a serene expression, Martha added, "And consider that when you share your struggles, you not only free yourself of that burden, but you allow others to connect with their own. We become mirrors, reflecting His brilliance back and forth." "Mirrors," Mark echoed, the profoundness sinking in. He had often felt unworthy, a mere shadow on the walls of others' lives. But here, in this circle, he could see that every soul mirrored a piece of God's radiant truth. A chorus of gentle amens filled the space, intertwining with the sounds of nature and the soft rustling of leaves. It felt as if the world itself was affirming their declarations, stirring in harmony with their hearts. Mark's gaze lifted heavenward, sensing the presence of something greater. What if this really is just the beginning of a much larger purpose? What awaits beyond these trials? Anna's smile grew, her eyes twinkling with divine understanding. "That's the essence of faith, Mark. We venture into the unknown, trusting each step we take is leading us closer to His divine calling. As twilight began to blanket the landscape, the stars began to twinkle overhead, like promises waiting to be fulfilled. The air crackled with expectation, and in that moment, Mark felt an overwhelming surge of hope. "Trust is the bridge to your transformation," Martha reassured, her voice steadying. Mark embraced the moment fully, feeling a profound sense of community and clarity wash over him. It was then that he recognized something beautiful, a calling that was genuinely meant for him. "God's plan, I feel it," he whispered, his spirit soaring. "But what do I need to do next? What is He preparing me for?" That question hung in the air like thick incense, inviting reflection. The stars blinked above as if to say, "Just wait, the best is yet to come." As the last rays of the sun dipped below the horizon, a soft hush enveloped the clearing. The flickering stars above seemed to nod in agreement with Mark's newfound resolve. Each tiny light cast a reminder that even in the darkness, hope sparkled just out of reach. Martha's voice broke the silence. "Mark, the journey ahead won't always be easy. But remember, every time you confront temptation, He's right there with you, ready to strengthen you." Her words were firm yet tender, like a warm hand resting on his shoulder, anchoring him to the moment. "I never thought about it that way," Mark replied softly, excitement dancing in his chest. Suddenly, the idea of temptation shifted from a lingering ghost to a mere obstacle. An opportunity for growth and testimony. A flicker of excitement ignited in him. Anna leaned forward. "Think of the struggles you face as little invitations from God. Each one is a chance to say, 'I will choose differently this time.' When we resist, we become heralds of His grace." Mark could see it now. Each temptation could be a stepping stone rather than a stumbling block. His whole perspective was shifting, a lens glassed by faith. In that moment, he decided he wouldn't shy away from challenges. He would step up. A sweltering peace washed over him, a fire ignited by their encouragement. "So, what do I do when darkness creeps back in?" he asked, a note of genuine inquiry coloring his voice. "Call out," Anna exclaimed, her enthusiasm electric. "When faced with temptation, declare the promises of God over your life. Speak them. The power of life and death is in the tongue. What you proclaim can shatter the chains built up by the enemy." That idea struck Mark like a bolt of lightning. He hesitated, recalling a moment when he faced temptation and had silenced his voice. But now, oh now, he could proclaim freedom, declare deliverance. "Do you remember Jesus in the wilderness?" Martha asked, looking deep into his eyes. "He stood firm in his identity, fighting back every lie with truth." Mark nodded, feeling a firmer grip on his own identity in Christ. "It's all about knowing who I really am, isn't it?" "Yes." Both Anna and Martha chimed, their voices woven together in harmony. "That's the key, Mark. But also remember, reflection and community matter. Surround yourself with those who share your light. Let them hold you accountable and lift you when you're down," Martha added, inviting him into deeper connections. As he took a deep breath, the shimmering stars seemed to echo their resolve. Each moment held eternal significance, a reminder that they were part of something grander than themselves. "I can do this," Mark whispered, his voice filled with conviction, "with His light illuminating my path and the support of you all." Each of them shared knowing smiles, enveloped in the warmth of unity. It was not just about Mark's journey, it was a shared pilgrimage of faith. What about the fear of failing? He wondered aloud, furrowing his brow. Both women exchanged glances before Anna replied, "In failure, there's grace. Own it, learn from it. It's all part of His loving process." Hope bloomed in Mark's chest as he contemplated this new path, threaded with courage and community. The darkness of his past began to dissolve, wave after wave, as he leaned into the promise of a new dawn, an ongoing transformation rooted in trust and love. With their circle of light surrounding him, Mark exhaled deeply. I can't wait to see what he's preparing for me. I'll embrace everything, he stated boldly. As the stars shone higher in the velvet sky, he felt a stirring, a whisper that promised adventure. Would the light guide him into newfound territories of faith? What would God unfold as he surrendered to this wondrous journey that waited on the horizon? The air buzzed with potential, inviting him to walk forward in confidence and trust. Tomorrow was a new day of divine transformation waiting to unfold. The morning sun broke through the clouds, spilling golden light across the horizon like a promise kept. Mark stood at the edge of the clearing, filled with hope and anticipation. Today was a day of new beginnings, a day that he would face armed with the truths he had gathered the night before. As he moved from the shadows of the night into the dawn of a new day, he could feel the warmth of the sun wrapping around him, whispering assurance. He took a step forward, and the grass beneath his feet felt soft and alive, almost as if it welcomed him into the day. What if today is the day? He wondered aloud, a wide smile breaking through as he thought of all the possibilities. Suddenly, he remembered Martha's words and how they had sparked courage in him. The journey ahead was uncharted, yet the guidance from his friends echoed in his heart, a beacon of light prompting him to move forward. At breakfast, Mark joined Anna and Martha, the aroma of fresh coffee and baked bread swirling around them. They exchanged friendly banter, laughter filling the air like joyful melodies. Yet, amidst the cheer, Mark felt a stirring within him, a gentle reminder that each moment held weight, each choice molded his journey. What will you focus on today, Mark? Anna asked, her eyes sparkling with encouragement. I want to consciously choose to declare his promises over my life, especially when temptation arises, he replied, his voice steady. Witnessing his faithfulness can be transformative, and you'll see his hand at work, Martha added thoughtfully. Remember, every little victory counts. With a nod, Mark felt the resolve settle in his heart. He understood now that each step was an opportunity not just to resist, but to actively choose the path laid before him. Their conversation turned toward their plans for the day, a community gathering filled with praises and testimonies at the church. Mark felt a thrill of excitement. It was not just about sharing what God had done, but a reminder that they were all part of a living tapestry of faith. As they arrived at the church, the atmosphere buzzed with a palpable energy, a sweet anticipation. It seemed as though the walls themselves resonated with the songs of worship rising to the heavens. Mark was filled with awe as he saw familiar faces lighting up the space. During worship, he closed his eyes, losing himself in the haunting melodies. Each word became a lifeline, each note echoed truths that rekindled his spirit. He sang not just out of familiar habit but as a declaration of freedom. He felt the shadows of his old fears dissipate as God's promises enveloped him, reminding him of who he was. In that moment, Mark understood, it wasn't the absence of temptation that defined him, but his response to it. It was the grace of God that would empower him to soar above it. When it was time for testimonies, Mark felt a nudge in his heart, a call to share. He stood before the congregation, his hands shaking yet filled with purpose. I choose to embrace the challenges ahead, knowing that God's strength lifts me, he proclaimed, his voice gaining strength. I no longer see temptation as an adversary but as an invitation. An invitation to grow, to reflect his light in my journey. The room erupted in applause, echoing his message. He could feel the warmth of encouragement wash over him, enveloping him like a cherished embrace. As he returned to his seat, Martha caught his eye and gave him a reassuring nod. A sense of community blossomed, and he realized that they were in this together, all part of a marvelous adventure. The day unfolded beautifully, but as the gathering drew to a close and the sun dipped low, Mark felt a pull within his spirit. Was this truly the beginning? The journey was still ahead, but something greater awaited him, a deeper understanding of God's purpose. Where will this path lead next? He pondered as he left the church, the question lingering in the air, readying him for what was to come. Would the next step hold even more profound revelations? The sun was setting over Gracewood, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink. Mark stood at the edge of the park, where everything had shifted for him, and he felt the warmth of the evening wrap around him like a daughter of grace in his embrace. The joy of community bloomed in his heart, and the learnings from the past few weeks surged within him. Courage blossomed inside as he recalled the strength he had drawn from Martha and Anna. Today, he would not just step forward, he would bring the light of his faith into every crack and crevice of his life, unafraid of the shadows that might dare to loom. "God is guiding me," he murmured, his words laced with gratitude and determination. As he turned to walk home, he could feel the gentle nudges of divine promise urging him onward. Later that evening, as Mark sat at the dinner table with Martha, laughter intertwined with prayer. They shared stories of the day's triumphs and challenges as friends with lighter hearts gathered around them. Each moment resonated with the love of God that had brought them together. "Sometimes it takes darkness to truly appreciate the light," he said, leaning closer to Martha. She nodded, her eyes shimmering with understanding. "And you, my love, have embraced the change beautifully." As they prayed, Mark felt the chains that had once bound him begin to fall away, replaced by the certainty that God was present in every struggle, every doubt, and every victory. Days turned into weeks, each filled with growth and encounters that tested his resolve. Temptations would come stealthily, but Mark learned quickly that they were not the enemy, they were catalysts for transformation. "Each temptation is a chance to declare who I am in Christ," he would remind himself. And with each declaration, he reclaimed bits of himself that had been lost in the shadows. Martha stood by him, her faith unwavering, a constant light illuminating his path. "You are not defined by your struggles," she often said, "but by your heart's resilience to rise again." The couple soon became a beacon of hope within their community. They hosted gatherings, encouraging others to share their journeys and open discussions about the weight of burdens. The chapel echoed with the sound of fellowship. It was alive with laughter, tears, and stories of grace. One evening, as they sat together in that cherished chapel, Mark felt a stirring of purpose deep inside him. "Martha, I think we need to reach more people. There are so many who don't know they can be free just like I was freed." "Let us do it," she responded enthusiastically, her eyes bright with excitement. "Let us hold a testimony night, a night of sharing, healing, and hope." And so, they began to plan. They dedicated their hearts and efforts to this night of testimony, spreading the word throughout Gracewood. It grew larger than they ever expected, drawing people from neighboring towns, eager to witness the power of redemption. On that magical night, the chapel buzzed with anticipation. Mark stood before the congregation with a quickened pulse, the air thick with faith. "You are not alone," he declared, his voice steady and full of life. "Whatever you're facing, remember that God is with you, waiting to illuminate your path. Share your burdens, for that's where healing begins." As he spoke, he noticed the tears and cheers of the audience. It was as if the very walls around them wrapped them in unconditional love, a testament to the power of honest vulnerability. Martha joined him, her presence radiant. Together, they led prayers and shared testimonies, stories of grace that resonated deeply. People stood to share, and the chapel filled with echoes of victory over struggles, leaving the shadows trembling in the light of faith. When the night came to a close, the couple stood hand in hand, hearts intertwined with gratefulness, knowing that this was just the beginning. As they stepped out into the cool night air, laughter echoed around them. Mark breathed in deeply, the scent of blossoms mingling with the aroma of hope hanging like a promise in the air. "Let us keep shining our light, Martha. This is just the start of something incredible," he confidently declared. "Yes. Together, we can be the change and inspire others to walk boldly into the light," she responded, her heart full. With renewed purpose, their hands clasped tightly, Mark and Martha walked into the night, prepared to step forward into an even greater calling. They knew that their journey would continue to be one of faith, hope, and love. And the promise of tomorrow shimmered brightly on the horizon, as they took each step with God lighting the way, ready for whatever was yet to unfold. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive faith stories that will ignite your spirit. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help spread hope to more lives. Comment your reactions and testimonies about this amazing journey of transformation. Don't wait even one more second to share this very video with at least 5 friends who need to see this divine manifestation of hope. Let us uplift each other, carrying forth the light of God together.